Hello and welcome. Today we are going to get into Word Smart List 26, and we're going to focus on all those tricky pro words. You know how words that start the same can get all mixed up in your head, especially during a test? Well, we are going to fix that right here, right now. By the end of this, you'll be able to tell all of them apart, no problem. All right, let's just dive right in with the three words that cause the most confusion for pretty much everyone. Prodigy, prodigious, prodigal. Yeah, they sound almost exactly the same, and they can be a real headache. But trust me, after today, you are going to have these down. So, in this first part, what we're going to do is make the difference between these three words completely crystal clear. Our goal here is that by the end of this section, you'll remember which one is which forever. No more guessing. Okay, think of this slide as your simple map for these three words. Just remember this little pattern. Prodigy is a person, prodigious is about size, and prodigal describes an action. That's it. Person, size, action. Got it? Okay, let's break them down one by one so you can really see what I mean. First up, prodigy. A prodigy is a young person, usually a child, who has an incredible, just amazing natural talent for something. For example, you've probably heard that Mozart was a famous child prodigy. He was writing incredible music when he was just a little kid. Or you could say the 10-year-old math prodigy is already studying at a university. So prodigy always equals a very gifted person. Okay, next we have prodigious. Now, this is an adjective, and it describes something that is huge, enormous, very, very big, or impressive. For instance, building the pyramids was a prodigious task. That just means it was a huge, incredibly difficult job. Or you could say, he ate a prodigious amount of food at dinner. So see, this word is all about the size or amount of things, not people. And finally, the last of our confusing trio, prodigal. This word describes a wasteful action, and it almost always has a negative meaning. So if a person is prodigal, it means they spend money or use resources in a very foolish and careless way. You might have heard of the prodigal son from the famous story. He wasted all of his father's money. Another example could be the company's prodigal spending led to its failure. It's all about being wasteful. Great. Now that we have those three down, let's move on to our next group. These are all words that have to do with having a lot of something or being very good at something. We'll see how they're connected and, more importantly, how they're different. So let's look at three words that all mean a lot, but in different ways. First, we have profuse. Think of this as something flowing out in really large amounts, like profuse sweating after you go for a run, or offering profuse apologies when you're really sorry. Next, we have proliferate. This means to grow or spread super fast. A perfect example is how rumors proliferate online. They just multiply and spread everywhere, right? And finally, we have prolific. This describes a person who creates a huge amount of work, like a prolific writer who has written dozens and dozens of books. Now, this is important. Don't confuse being prolific, making a lot of something, with being proficient. Proficient is about being very good at something. It's about skill, not just quantity. For example, after years of practice, she became proficient at playing the guitar. Or a job description might say, you must be proficient in English for this job. It means you have to be skilled. And here is an absolutely perfect comparison. Both of these words have to do with a lot, but they are total opposites. Prolific, like we said, is a positive thing. It means you're creating a lot. But profligate, that's Prhfligit, is negative. It means you're wasting a lot. So a prolific author is admired for writing many books, but a profligate person is criticized for spending money foolishly. You know, our next group of words is really cool because it kind of tells a story. Think about how an idea gets started, how it gets shared, and how people start to support it. These words describe that exact journey, from a personal belief all the way to a public cause. This slide lays out that journey perfectly. It all starts when you profess your belief. You declare it openly, you say it out loud. Then, you promulgate it, which is a fancy word for spreading that belief to the public, making it widely known. As other people start to agree with you, you become a proponent of the idea, a supporter. And if you're the one leading the whole movement, you might even become its protagonist, the main hero or champion of the cause. So what comes next in that journey? Well, that's where proselytize comes in. This is the action step. It's when you actively try to convince other people to join your religion, your belief, or your way of thinking. For example, the group tried to proselytize to new members on campus. Or you could say, he's so convinced he is right that he proselytizes to anyone who will listen. Okay, let's switch gears a little. We're going to look at a new set of words, and a fantastic way to remember these is to think of them as opposites. They're all about good, proper behavior versus bad, improper behavior. So on one side, we have propriety. This is all about properness and having good manners. Acting the right way in a situation. On the complete opposite side is profane. This means being disrespectful, especially about religion or just using really offensive bad language. So you would show propriety at a formal dinner, but you would definitely avoid profane language. And here's another great pair of opposites. On one hand, you have propitious. This means something is a good sign for the future. It's favorable. For example, the sunny weather was a propitious start to our trip. It felt like a good omen. On the other hand, you have proscribe. This means to officially forbid something, to ban it, to outlaw it. For instance, the new law will proscribe smoking in all public parks. So one is a good sign, and the other is a strict rule against something. Now, the word prevail is interesting because it has two common meanings. First, it can mean to win or triumph. You might hear someone say, "In the end, justice will prevail." The second meaning is to persuade someone to do something. For example, he prevailed upon his friends to help him move. That just means he convinced them, he persuaded them to help him out. All right, we are in the home stretch. Let's wrap things up with our final group of words. This is kind of a useful mix of words that cover concepts from ownership and social classes to personal habits and even time. Okay, let's contrast these two. First, we have pristine. When you hear this word, think perfect, pure, untouched, and in its original condition. For example, a pristine beach is one that no one has ever visited. The complete opposite of that is prosaic. Prosaic means dull, boring, and just plain unimaginative. If you say a novel's plot is prosaic, you mean it was really boring and unoriginal. Here are two words that are related but very different. Proprietary is an adjective that's all about ownership. If something is proprietary, it's owned by someone, and it's often a secret. Like Coca-Cola's secret formula is proprietary information. Then you have the proletariat. This is a noun that refers to the industrial working class, the group of people who don't own the factories or property, but who work in them. Your propensity for something is just your natural tendency or habit. It's something you're naturally likely to do without even thinking about it. For instance, he has a propensity to eat too much when he is nervous. Or, on a more positive note, some people have a propensity for learning languages easily. It just comes naturally to them. To protract something means to make it last longer, and usually this is seen as a negative thing. It means you're dragging it out longer than it needs to be. For example, the negotiations were protracted for many weeks means they just dragged on and on and on. You might tell a friend who's arguing, "Hey, let's not protract this argument." And our final word is profound. Profound simply means deep. But what's cool is that you can use it in a few different ways. It can mean physically deep, like a profound canyon, but more often you'll hear it used to mean intellectually or emotionally deep. For example, you can have a profound thought, a very deep, intelligent idea, or you can feel profound sadness, which is a very, very deep feeling of sorrow. So we just went through 25 new words. Now, what's the most important part? It's actually using them. That is the only way this information moves from the screen into your long-term memory. So here's your challenge. Look back at all the words we covered. Pick just one, maybe one that was new to you, and try to use it correctly in a sentence of your own today. That right there is how you truly make these words your own.